Gold farms have now changed forever with the introduction of the crafter, making storing the gold take 81 times less space and saving you from having to craft hundreds of thousands of nuggets into gold blocks yourself. This gold farm will fit perfectly in any world, on any device, single player or multiplayer, server or realm, thanks to this variable speed clock that with a single click, you can slow down or speed up the farm based on your needs. This gold farm is unlike any you have ever seen before, as it uses crafters to automatically compress nuggets into ingots, including the nuggets you get from smelting all of the swords, and then the ingots into gold blocks. To light the portals, this farm uses Flint and Steel, which you no longer have to worry about manually crafting with the crafter block doing it for you. Compared to the lava lighting portal method, it allows the portals to go closer together, creates less lag in the world, will work on worlds with fire spreading turned off, and uses intended game mechanics, so you won't have to worry about Mojang updating anything that could break the farm, while that is a slight risk for the lava lighting method. Finally, this farm generates 40,000 items per hour, which is over 300 gold blocks, as well as getting you 30 levels in under 90 seconds. Let's step into the tutorial where I'll show you how to build it and several options you can take to customize the farm to your liking. Okay, so before we get started with the build itself, I wanted to point out a few extremely important things that you need to know before you start building this, okay? Important thing number one, your portals, not a whole lot matters in terms of where you put them, except for this. You need to make sure the bottom of your portal, so where this block sits right here, where I'm standing right here, is at or above Y level 3. You cannot build this portal so far underground that you're like way down in the deep slate at the bottom of your world. There's a bug that has existed for a long time that makes them not work. So make sure the bottom of your portal frame is at Y level 3 or higher. This farm can only go in the overworld. It cannot go in the nether. I'm pretty sure it also cannot go in the end. Otherwise, if you want to put it way up in the air, if you want to put it underground, if you want to put it at ground level, it doesn't matter. It can go next to other farms. When I turn this thing on and the piglins are coming out, those piglins do not count against the mob cap. So having another set of mobs alive in the area will not affect it, and they will not affect other mobs in the area unless you let over like 200 of them accumulate. So if you want to run this by a general mob farm or something, by all means, you can go ahead. Its location does not matter. Next, when you build these, I might mention this again when I put the portals up as a reminder, but when you build these portals, know that the piglins always spawn out of the positive X or positive Z side. So if you have coordinates turned on, if you move in a direction and the number is counting up into the positives, the piglins spawn on that side. So over here, they spawn on this side, and if you were going this way, they would spawn on that side. The main reason that's important is because you do not want your dispensers to go on the side that the piglins spawn on, because that's going to take up some spawning space. Maybe they get stuck in it or something like that. So that is important. Yes, the portals do need to be this large. The larger the portals, the more spawns that you get, because when these portals turn on, the amount of piglins that spawn are based on the amount of portal tiles in the portal. So we have a maximum size portal here, which I'll show you how to build. If you go smaller in portal size, you get less piglins, meaning you're generating all of that same lag, but getting less out of it. So I recommend building it exactly as I show. When we make the clock for this, this is the clock that like turns the portals on and off. When we make this clock, know that this repeater right here that I have you place, this controls how fast the farm goes. If you're on a decent PC or maybe even like a newer generation console, one tick should work fine in your world and should not create any noticeable lag. If you're playing on maybe on the newer generation consoles, I don't know, because I don't use one. Maybe you need to do 2 ticks, or maybe for some other reason you want to slow the farm down. You can go to 2 ticks. Maybe you're on another slower device. If you're on a really old device, a mobile device, a older generation console, Nintendo Switch, or on a realm, you're probably going to be on level 3, if not level 4, for how much you slow this farm down. So just know that while you're running this for 2 portals like this, like I'm doing here, that if you're laggy for some reason, you can turn the rate of the farm down with the press of a button. Another thing, this farm does have a few options that you can do. At the very end, I will show you those options, but as I build it, I'm going to build it my preferred way. But just so you know what those options are, you have an option of a longer drop tube versus a shorter one. That's the long one. This is the short one. You can burn the rotten flesh up front, or you can store some of it. We can move the gold up to storage up top, or we can leave the gold down bottom. And you can use either a bucket of powdered snow or a bucket of water here. I will go over and show you all of those options in a little bit more detail at the very end after I've built the whole farm. So if you want to see what the options are first, skip to the end and then come back through and watch the video, and you'll see what those are. A couple of basic crafter notes really quick. This does automatically craft your flint and steel. So all you need is flint and iron. You just have to bring those two things up here. It will make the flint and steel for you as you need it. It will automatically smelt these swords into nuggets, craft the nuggets into ingots, and then craft the ingots into gold blocks. So all of that's done for you as well. You will need to bring a fuel source over for the furnace, or come up with your own way of automatically fueling the furnace if you wanted to do that. So whatever fuel source you want to use here should be fine. I recommend smaller size fuel sources. So what I mean is lava buckets would not be good for this. I think those would probably waste a lot of fuel, because these furnaces do not burn 100% of the time, meaning that they will waste some fuel. So the smaller your fuel source is, like the less items that it burns itself, the less waste you're going to have with the system. So outside of those things, we're going to get started with the tutorial. I will show you how to build everything. I will give basic explanations throughout, and you are absolutely going to love this gold farm. It is amazing, and I can't wait to build it in my survival world. Let's go. Before we continue, a message from today's sponsor, whose computer chairs I highly recommend, eWin. So I first partnered with eWin in mid-2023, where I built and used one of their Champion Series gaming chairs. And I've now been using the same chair, which by my live streams is known as Chairzard, for over 15 months now. And I've been so incredibly happy with it that I decided to reach out to them again. On top of being a great chair to sit in, it's also actually incredibly easy to build. They come mostly pre-assembled, and you'll also notice that while you're building your chair, the chair is pretty heavy. You can tell it's made out of sturdy, high-quality materials, and with now thousands of hours in the chair that I'm sitting in currently, I can comfortably say that the quality of materials shows in its durability and lack of any visible wear and tear. And you can adjust practically everything with these chairs. The Champion Series allows you to do the normal up and down adjustment. You can tilt the seat backwards and forwards. You can recline the seat all the way back, and the arms will go up and down, in and out, side to side, forward and backwards. They even do this like twisting in and out. There's like a full range of options to get it to be comfortable for you and customize the way that fits your seating position and your preference the best. To start shopping for your eWin gaming chair, click on my link in the description below and browse through the Champion Series chairs to pick the style and color that you like the most, or use the menus at the top of the page to browse through their other products that they have available. Once you find your new chair and add it to your cart, use discount code PROW8413 that will get you 20% off of your purchase, and enjoy your new comfortable gaming chair. Okay, so here we are. I'm doing this in a test world, a flat world. If you're going to test this out in a super flat world first, make sure you don't do it down at the ground, because in a flat world, that's in the negatives. Remember, we cannot go into the negatives with our portal. Otherwise, again, put it wherever you want. So we're going to pick a spot, and we're going to start with our obsidian. Now, I am going to show you the easiest way to build this in survival, but it doesn't mean that depending on where you're putting this, that it's super easy, because if you're going to build this up in the air, we're kind of starting at the top, and then you're going to have to build down. It's annoying, but trust me, it makes following along with the tutorial and doing it yourself a lot easier in the end. Just make sure that you're not going to fall down, right? So anyways, we're going to start with an obsidian block right here, and we are going to make a big square that goes 23 blocks across and 23 blocks up, counting this block. So we're going to go to this. We're going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 21, 22, 23. So that is 23 blocks across. And now we're going to make it 23 blocks tall, including that block. And then we're just going to connect that up to make it a square. If you want to test this out to make sure you didn't make it too big, take a flint and steel and try to light it. If it lights, you're good. And to break it, just break any of the side blocks. It'll break the portal and you can put the obsidian back in. Also, so none of you guys get confused and you're asking, Proud, what is that in your toolbar? This is a toolbox. It's for an add-on that I use that helps me out with building larger segments of this quicker. And it'll just help me get this tutorial out to you guys faster. Next thing we want to do is we want to count back 1, 2, and then on that third space, we're going to put another obsidian block and make a second portal. Now we just need to know what side is the positive side, because that's where our piglins spawn. So if we move this direction, the X coordinate in the top left-hand side of the screen goes up. So our piglins spawn on that side. And just so we can keep track of that, I'm going to come to the corner. It doesn't really matter if you do it on this corner or that corner. I'm just going to pick this side. And we're going to put down a dispenser, a temporary block, and another dispenser. Make sure it's a dispenser and not a dropper, because this is where our dispensers are going to end up going. Okay, we don't need to do anything with those yet. They're just there so we know which way our piglins are going to go. Okay, now we need to make the area where our piglins are going to fall into, and we're going to move them to the kill area. So on the back portal here, the back is like this guy right here with the dispensers on this side. We're going to click a block right here, and then we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go down 4 blocks, and we're going to come forward until we are just past this portal. So now we're 1 block past the portal. You'll see here in a little bit that this is going to allow the piglins to fall down where we need them to. And we're just going to create a floor by going all the way across with our blocks and doing the same thing over here, coming to just on the other side of the portal, bringing this over here, bringing this up to about even with the portal there, walling this whole side off like this, and then filling in the floor and the walls on the 2 sides in the back. Okay, now that we have our area for our piglins to fall down into, we will be putting water in here soon. First, we need to make sure that our piglins have a place to go to, and we don't want to fight the water right now and have it like knocking us down off of our platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up about 2 blocks high. We're going to come over by 2 blocks like this. And then we're going to make a little place for these guys to drop down. That is 1, 2, 3 blocks deep, and we need a floor on it. And we're going to, again, wall this side off because we don't want any water to get out. We don't want any piglins to get out. And we're going to make a little floor here. Now our piglins are going to fall down here, and we do want to trap them in here. You can use solid blocks for this, but in typical Prowl fashion, if you've ever watched my tutorials, you know I like to see everything, and I'm going to fill it in with glass because I like to see the piglins. Now we're going to want to trap all of our water, and I'm going to have to make a small modification down here, and you'll see what it is and why here in just a moment. So to trap our water here and to keep it from spilling over, we're going to take fence gates. You can use signs as well, but fence gates are pretty easy. You'll just go through and place fence gates going all the way back like this, and then just go through and open all of them. Now, when we put our water over here, that will allow the piglins to go down, and we'll drop them down to the next level. I'm also going to let you know one thing that I sometimes forget to mention. If you're high enough in the air or in certain biomes, it's possible that this water freezes. If you don't want the water to freeze, you have to have a solid block above the water. If you just go and put solid blocks like right here, that's now over top of the water source blocks that we put down, that water will not freeze. You might have to do the same thing for here too if you have that situation happen. We're going to put water here and here. And then where that water stops, we need to break these blocks. We need to go down by 2 blocks. Down by 2 blocks and make another floor. We can also lower this. Now, roughly in the middle, let's say here, this is the middle, right? In the middle, go through and break 2 of those blocks and actually break 2 more. Pick a side, any side, it doesn't matter. But we do want this drop chute to be 4 holes wide. It's going to matter for making sure our piglins distribute evenly at the Trident killer. And then we want to block the water here and here. So now when we put water buckets here, those piglins, they will work their way down and then they'll fall. All right, now we're gonna come over to our dispensers and we're gonna make the clock for this thing now. That way it's done and out of the way. I'm going to use glass blocks here. You technically don't have to use glass blocks everywhere that I do. There's one spot specifically where you need to do it, but generally it's not a bad rule of thumb. That way you don't have any issues where redstone can kind of like power things you don't want to or go somewhere you don't want it to go. We're going to come out from this guy right here and we're going to go out past the portal 1, 2, 3 blocks. We're gonna do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3 blocks. And we're gonna connect those together like that. And we're gonna do the exact same thing down here. Just like that. Now, for our clock to go down, we're going to place a temporary block here and a block that we want to be there right there. We can leave that temporary block for now because we're going to use it here in a second. And then we want to face a sticky piston downwards right there and put a redstone block on it. Then we're going to want to face another sticky piston down from that temporary block that's right there. We can now get rid of that and place a block of obsidian right here. To complete our clock, super easy. We put a torch here. We put redstone dust here, here, and here. We're going to put a repeater right there, a solid block right here. And for now, so this thing doesn't just go crazy on us, we're going to put a lever right here that we're going to flick down. And when we put our dust here, this system is not on. This is the off position. If I turn this lever, it's turned on. This is that clock I told you about earlier, that the slower you set it for the repeater's tick speed, the slower the system is. Now all we have to do is just run the redstone dust to all 4 dispensers, just like that. And on this side as well. Actually, I'm going to make one super slight modification. It doesn't matter a lot, but it will matter for something I show you here in a second. These blocks right here, I'm going to get rid of this like extra little bit and I'm going to run it here instead. That way all of this is connected from one redstone line. And the reason I'm going to do that is this. We're going to put in our buckets of powdered snow. I'll show you later how to do buckets of water if you want to, but I actually recommend powdered snow. It's a little bit cleaner. It's not going to require you to put extra stuff around here to catch the water. It's nice and easy. And powdered snow is really easy to get. Go to a mountain biome where there's a lot of snow in the mountain and bring a couple buckets with you and you can scoop up powdered snow there. Or you can put down a cauldron anywhere that it snows and then the cauldron will slowly fill up over time with snow and then you can scoop that with a bucket. Okay, but this is why I want to do it. I'm going to put a lever here and a lever here. I'm not really ever probably going to use these, but first of all, it's good to have this powdered snow start out in the out position. We do want the powdered snow to be out when we set up this farm. And then if I ever wanted to test my portals manually, I could just flick this lever and it would flicker the portals on if the snow was in and if I had flint and steel in here. We don't have any in there right now. We'll add it in later because we don't want to spawn any piglins as of yet. But okay, now we need to make the drop chute for where our piglins are going to fall down. This is one of those things where you're going to have an option. You can either drop the piglins down further, taking almost all of their health, and then your trident that you're going to have down here will kill them in one hit. Or you can drop them down shorter into a trident killer, which we're going to make here in a second, that has water in it. And you have to enchant your tridents with impaling 5. I'll let you make whatever option you want to take, but for purposes of the tutorial, we're going to assume that you're going to drop them and not have to enchant your tridents and put water in a trident killer. So what we want to do is from underneath, we're going to want to go down from here. We're going to want to go down 20 blocks, counting that block I just placed. And then we're going to wall this area in with any solid blocks that you want. It does not matter what solid blocks you use. I will end up using glass because, again, prowl rule number 1 is I like to see my farms work. So starting from there, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then that right here, this is going to be your floor. So I'm actually going to just frame out the floor like this. And then that drop chute, those piglins, they're going to drop onto mud blocks. Super easy to get it from a mangrove swamp, or just take a bottle of water underwater and then click on some dirt and it will convert it to mud. And then actually what we're going to do really quick while we're down here, before we add in all this other stuff that's going to get in our way, is we're going to make our Trident killer. Super easy to make. Go ahead and just stand right here in the middle, and on the right hand side of where I'm facing here, this right hand side mud block, we're going to face a piston, and we're going to do that facing it in each direction, the right side block on each side. Now you're going to put solid blocks all around this, except on the side where you're going to be standing to get the XP from the farm. That's going to be this spot right here. I'm going to put glass there. I'm actually going to put glass there too. Everything else all the way around is going to be solid blocks, just like this. We're also going to put solid blocks on top of each piston. We're going to put a powered rail. You can also use a dropper if you want to on each side. And then we're going to have observers look at those rails. They're facing the rail. That is now everything we need for a Trident killer to work. For now, I'm going to throw a lever on the side over here. I'm actually going to do it right here because we're actually going to have an on-off switch in this location at the end. I'm going to put a solid block right there. Right now, that's going to keep the Trident killer off. If I turn this off, the Trident killer is going to be on. You see those pistons go around in that like circular type motion. And if I were to throw a Trident in here like this, it moves the Trident around, killing the mobs. We're going to actually put a total of 3 Tridents in here. We can put them in now, is fine. Just be aware that if you pick them up by accident, you do need to replace them. They do not despawn. They do not take damage while they hit mobs. So it can be a Trident you find that has this the tiniest little bit of health left. It's fine. It'll work perfectly fine. Throw them in there, get 3 of them, put 3 of them in there, and you'll be good to go. One extra note I will add in though, if you have a slower device, an older console, a mobile device, Nintendo Switch, like that type of stuff, you may have issues with your Tridents disappearing. It's because when you load your world, the Tridents load first and they fall down through the blocks. So you may want to, whenever you're done with the farm and you're going to leave or log off, you may want to go in there and pick them up and have a chest or something close by that you can put them in. And then when you get back on, you go back in and you put them back down. But now with that part done, I'm going to connect all of this down here. And one final part before we're done with the drop chute here that's really simple. You do need to get inside of it. You can pillar up or come in from the bottom, whatever is easier for you in survival mode. We need to reset the drop of the piglins. If the piglins drop from this high, say one falls in, spawns in right here and goes down, he's going to die when he hits. And we do not want the piglins to die. I know this looks silly, just bear with me. We do not want the piglins to die when they hit the ground, because then we're not killing them with the Trident. And the reason we want to kill them with the Trident is we get the looting 3 effect from our looting 3 sword. Basically, if you've never used a Trident killer before, when this runs, it acts as though the player, you, killed the mob. So if you have a sword in your hand that has the looting 3 to give you more drops, you get those drops. You also get the XP, and it counts as a player kill. This means that you get the experience points that the piglins give as you kill them, and you get roughly 5 times the amount of drops because the piglins will drop their swords, and they will also drop more gold nuggets and gold ingots. So Trident killer, while it's not a absolute must, you can just swing a sword and kill them, or you can drop kill them. That is not the best way to do it if you actually want this farm to be efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of here. We're going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, put buttons here, put buttons there, and put a bucket of water right here. Now the piglins will fall through that bucket of water, and when they do, it will count their drop height from like right here, meaning they're only dropping 15 or 16 blocks, and that unenchanted Trident can kill them in one hit. One other thing I want to add in is you could have like other mobs spawn on or around the area. So what you may want to do is just spawn proof it. You could throw down some torches or put down some buttons. Anything that keeps mobs from spawning in is fine. If you're putting this underground, you may be putting it in an area where slimes can spawn. So maybe instead of torches, because torches don't block slime spawns, you might want to put down buttons anywhere that's spawnable so slimes can't spawn in. But otherwise, just make sure you don't have other mobs spawning in. It's not really gonna hurt anything per se. I guess it could. If like a zombie with a wooden sword spawns in, it could actually clog up your system. So yeah, you do want to make sure, I guess, that nothing else outside of zombified piglins can spawn in this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do before we put in all of the fun redstone stuff, and I promise you guys I'll make it easy for you, is we need to make ourselves, or make you, a little platform down below to work from. Or if you're like building this thing down in the ground or under the ground or whatever, you know how far down you got to dig and how much space in total you need to clear out. So this is what I want you to do. I made a little platform here to stand on to like get XP and watch the farm, operate the farm and stuff. But what we want to do is we want to go down, including this block right here. We're going to count that as 1. We're going to go down, and this is below the floor of the Trident killer. You can see this is the floor because that's where our mud blocks are. We're going to want to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this right here is going to be our new floor for the like redstone and tech bit of the farm. And then we're going to want to, going out from here, I guess let's do this first. Let's like trace the Trident killer, or the whole Trident killer area. So like this. This is directly underneath our Trident killer. We want to go out 3 blocks out the front and the back. 3 blocks out the front and the back. And then 11 blocks out the sides. So over here, I'd count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then the same thing on the other side. And then what you'll end up with is a platform like this that is 26 blocks across by 10 blocks deep. You can make it a little bit bigger if you want to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room, but that's going to be about the minimum amount of space that you need centered underneath of your Trident killer. Before we put in the hoppers out the bottom, we actually need to have a hopper minecart down here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull some temporary blocks here and here, and I'm going to face hoppers this way and this way, right underneath my floor where my Trident killer is, where those mud blocks are. Okay. Now I am going to put fences here. I'm going to put a powered rail right here. It could be a regular rail. It doesn't really matter. And a hopper minecart right here. I'm going to break that rail. We now need to push that hopper minecart in the center. The easiest way to do that is just put yourself a few blocks around here to stand on. Get yourself a trap door, which will allow you to put yourself in the crawling position and just walk up, push this guy into the corner just like that. And just to make sure it never gets moved by anything, surround it with blocks like that, because this farm is so incredibly fast. If too many items end up by chance going into one of these hopper lines and going in one of those directions, it can actually eventually cause your system to get backed up or clog up with too many items on one side, and over too long of a period of time, it'll break your farm. So by adding in this hopper minecart, your farm is not going to break. Okay, next we're going to go underneath our Trident killer. And we're going to go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 blocks and place a second block right here. And we can get rid of all of those. Those were temporary. And we're going to just have a line of hoppers going straight out just like this. This is where all of our items are going to come through to take all of our items to do all of the cool stuff, crafting, smelting, sorting, etc. It's all going to happen coming out of this line. And then at the end, you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay. So we're going to go out this far and we're going to make our item filters first. And this first filter is going to go right here in line with the edge of our Trident killer. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to place a couple temporary blocks here like this to help us face our first hoppers. And we can do this on both sides. I'll do both sides at the same time to make this easier for you to kind of follow along with. And what we're going to do is we're going to take hoppers, face them into here, face them into here. And we're going to do this for like 4 segments. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then just face hoppers facing outwards, just like this. To make things easier for you guys to follow, I just activated my my hopper pack that just shows these arrows of what direction the hoppers are facing, so you could better tell where I'm facing all the hoppers. Okay, so now we have all those hoppers placed like that. And then I'm also going to want to put some hoppers over here too. We're going to skip one row of hoppers. We're going to skip that. And then I'm going to go down by 2 blocks. I'm going to face these blocks like this directly under those hoppers. And I'm going to face 4 hoppers downwards here. These guys are facing down. Okay, so these guys all faced out. These guys face down. Now we're going to build all the filters. So item filters are really easy. We're going to place solid blocks right there. We're going to go up a block and place solid blocks right here. We're going to place glass blocks here, solid blocks here. Now, as you follow along with me here, what this is going to do is make it so these hoppers will only take in the items that we want it to and allow everything else to go through. I'm going to place repeaters facing this way and torches right here. So what I can do here is I can get some type of filler item. You guys know what's about to happen, don't you? And then now we just have to like set our filters for what we want to filter. We take a item that we want to filter, in this case, nuggets. I put 1 nugget here. And then I take my filter items using sub to prowl diamonds will make your farm about like 2.5 times faster than it normally goes. This is scientifically proven. But if you don't have sub to prowl diamonds to use, you can either name any item or block to put in here, or you can not name what goes in here and put any item or block that there is no chance would find its way into this system. If you put like cobblestone in here and then cobblestone somehow gets into the system, your whole thing's going to break. That's why using something that you name is best. For these first 2 filters, I put a nugget here. I actually meant to put ingot. In the first 2 filters, we're going to put gold ingots. And in these second 2 filters, we're going to put gold nuggets. And we're going to make sure we put our sub to prowl diamonds in here to set our filter. Now what will happen is when an item goes across, if it's an ingot, it'll make its way in. If it's a nugget, it'll make its way in. Anything else keeps going. I'm going to do this to the other side here in just a second. But first, we're also going to make a non-stackable item filter. This will take any item that cannot stack and it'll pull it out the system. It's the exact same filter as this, only 1 block higher. There you can see it is the exact same thing as this. It just goes 1 block higher. So if any item that can stack goes through, it does not power the redstone enough to let it go through. If a sword, in this case, a gold sword goes through, then this will be able to see the gold sword and it'll suck it down in there. And that's exactly what we want to happen. I'm going to do this to the other side now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the everything else storage. So anything that is not pulled out of the system will make its way down here, which should only be rotten flesh. And every so often, like 0.1% of gold nuggets and ingots will make its way through. It's a fraction of a percentage. So there's practically, statistically, there's pretty much no waste. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to put a solid block here, here, and here, and get rid of those 2. Those are temporary. And we're going to face some hoppers this way. Then I am going to get some chests from my inventory here. And you can do as much as you want. However much rotten flesh you want to save, you can do this, okay? But I'm going to place a temporary block there and a chest here. And then I'm going to save, let's say, 5 chests full of rotten flesh. Basically what will happen is we will have up to 5 double chests on this side and 5 double chests on that side of rotten flesh that we keep. If you want to keep more, if you want to keep less, if you don't want to keep any, that's up to you. And then once that storage fills up, then everything's going to come over here and we're going to put in a very quick, easy, simple trash can. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our dropper and face it straight down like this. The dropper's facing down. I'm going to put a temporary block right here. I'm just going to surround that temporary block in solid blocks, glass, whatever you want. Again, I like to see stuff. I don't know why. I have a thing. We're going to get rid of this block here. We're going to put in lava, and we're going to quickly cover it up with another solid block. We've basically just trapped a lava source block in there. Now, anything that this thing shoots out will go into that. Now we need to make the shoot out mechanism. We'll just come out the back here. We will place a comparator here, a repeater here, and redstone dust right here. Now, anything that goes into this, like these gold nuggets, it shoots it down into the lava. It's all gone. I 100% recommend, no matter what, you always have a trash can, because if you don't use a trash can and your storage fills up and then your hoppers start to fill up, you can and likely will break your system and then have to reset some of the things inside of your hoppers. So do yourself a favor and always add a trash can no matter what. Oh, and one other small fix, this little hopper right here that's facing into nothing, go ahead and just break that and face it this way. That way, all of our items that need to go into trash make it into trash. And the next thing we're going to do is our smelting system for the swords, because we're going to take all of those swords out so we get them all as nuggets to then turn into gold blocks. You get a decent amount from the swords. It's 100% worth doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here under these two hoppers, and I'm going to place a double chest here. We'll go on this side and place a double chest here. I'm going to then face hoppers down from that. And I'm going to place blast furnaces here and blast furnaces here. I have tested this. You do need this many blast furnaces. Any other configuration can potentially cause them at times to back up and send swords over to here. So just follow the way that I've shown you how to do it. We do want to be able to fuel these. So I'm going to put hoppers over here and hoppers over here. If you have a on-site automatic fuel source like a bamboo farm that makes wood or something to throw in, you can hook that up. Or if you're just going to manually put fuel in it yourself, just go ahead and put a double chest on top of those hoppers, a double chest on top of those hoppers, and go ahead and throw in whatever your fuel source is going to be. Remember, at the beginning of the video, I did tell you don't use lava. So that part is now done. Now we're actually going to be moving on to the crafter portion and then hooking things up. Okay, now we're going to set up the fun part, truly the fun part, and that's the crafter. I'm going to make this as easy as I possibly can for you to know where to put things and then run the hoppers at the end, because the hoppers is the kind of confusing part, but I think the way I do it will be good. So maybe you've only done half of it like I have. Maybe you've already done your other half. Either way, come up to your farm and you're going to face your back left side hopper underneath the Trident killer. So these 4 hoppers, there's going to be hoppers here eventually, right? These 4 hoppers are your Trident killer hoppers, your input hoppers. This guy right here, we want to stand directly under this. So on this block right here, we want to put our crafter facing in this direction. I'm just making sure myself that I got it in the right spot, and I don't. It goes here. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're first going to place a solid block right here, a temporary block right there with an observer looking at that, and then come to the back side and place an observer right here. This makes this crafter right here auto craft all the time. By the way, I'm not going to go over in-depth details about the crafter right now. If you want to know more about that, I do have a video that I'll try to link up in the right-hand side of the screen right now that you can click on. Now, this is going to auto craft our nuggets into ingots. I then want to take those ingots and send them to another crafter that I'm going to put right here to change those ingots into blocks. Now, I am going to run hoppers this way. So this dude, he's going to spit those ingots out every single time it crafts one into here. And those ingots are going to get to this crafter right here. Now, I need to make a clock to make this crafter work. Super easy. We're going to go comparator, repeater, redstone dust, redstone dust, redstone dust. So now this will auto craft, but first I need to have another crafter here, or anything that you can get a redstone signal of 9 out of. It's super easy to just get it from the crafter. This crafter here, you need to go close all the spots. It will make it so when this guy fills up, let me put a whole bunch in this hopper right here. When this fills up, it will then have enough signal to craft, and it will spit out a gold block. Click this repeater one time. It'll make it so you don't sometimes craft pressure plates, gold pressure plates instead of blocks. Not a big deal. It very rarely happens, but it can happen. So there's your fix. And then right here, I can put myself a double chest, and this chest will now fill up with gold blocks. It takes a while to fill up a chest. You're talking about probably more than one full like 8-hour overnight session of AFKing at the farm. So if that's all the space you want, that's fine. If you want more space than that to put your gold blocks in, then you can either do something like this where you have more chests down here, or you could do something like the option I'll show you a little bit later where you send the gold blocks up to storage that goes up here above. Either way, that's fine. But for now, I'm just going to have this one chest here. Now we have to do what I guess most would consider the fun part of running hoppers. And I'm going to try to make this as easy as I can for you. Basically, all we're trying to accomplish is taking all the nuggets out of these furnaces here and those furnaces that are going to go over there and putting them into the crafter. And then we're also going to want to do that exact same thing with all of the nuggets that come out of these filters. Remember, it's our left side filters if we're facing this direction that's doing nuggets, and then we will have ingots coming out of here. So all of our ingots, we want all of those to get into this hopper right here, because we don't want it to go over here. We do not want ingots to go in the first crafter. Ingots go in the second crafter. So I'm going to come out, I don't know, maybe 3 hoppers from this hopper right there. And we just need these guys to go into this. That should be easy enough. I'm just going to run some hoppers straight down like that. And we can actually, I can probably pull that one closer, right? So we have 2, and I go hopper, 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 hopper. So now we're pulling out of this ingot one, and then this ingot hopper right here, we'll just send everything over. So now these ingot filters will send their ingots out over and into this. We also need these ingot filters to do the same thing. Super easy. Let's just face a hopper this way, face a hopper this way. Now all ingots that come into the system go into that one single hopper, work their way down, and work their way over to right here. Ingots are done. Now we need to do nuggets. Now the nuggets can come through pretty quick, so fast that you do not want to take all of these nuggets from these 4 and all of the nuggets from these furnaces and put them all in to the same spot into the crafter, because it will actually overload. It's too fast. You're getting that many nuggets. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to come out the side of this crafter with hoppers, just like that. And we're going to get ourselves to be right underneath these guys that the ingots come out of. We're going to do the same thing we did for this. We're going to just face hoppers down. So now all the nuggets are coming out of this one filter. This one filter right here that's getting the nuggets. And we're just going to face all of these other hoppers in. So now all of our nuggets that go down will all go into this one hopper right here. They will go down the line and will go over and go into the crafter. Now, what about this guy? We want to get all of our furnaces to send into the top of the crafter. The top of the crafter. We do not want hoppers to run over top of other hoppers. Don't do that. Instead, come up 2. Now, if we have hoppers going through here, these hoppers down below cannot steal from these hoppers right here. And we're just going to make a little line just like this. I'm just going to put a hopper here and a hopper here. Now, again, all of my hoppers go to this one right here. That guy right there. And that sends it over to here and sends it over and through. I now don't have any hoppers that would steal from my furnaces. So just to show you what's happening, these furnaces right here, when the gold sword is finished smelting, it will turn into a nugget. The nugget will go down. All the nuggets will come into these hoppers here. And you can follow the arrows in terms of how I place them. All the nuggets go across, go up, go over, and they go down into our crafter. That right there is all of your hoppers. So now I'm going to do this to the other side and I'll show you what we have when we're done. Now, before we move on, did you know that I have merch? Meet the Hide and Seek Warden product line. My live stream sometimes asks me to draw things in MS Paint. You guys wanted to see these drawings become merch, so together with you, I made the Hide and Seek Warden. This design isn't about me, it's about you wanting to express how much that you like Minecraft. So be sure to visit my store on my channel page here on YouTube and browse through all the amazing products I have available, and keep a lookout because there are more coming. Okay, we're getting close to done, but we're not there yet. Now we need to go up here and we need to go to make our crafter system for the Flint and Steel. Before we had like auto crafter, the Flint and Steel was such a big annoyance to do. So we're going to make that part incredibly easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hopper here and a hopper here, and I'm going to make a little hopper loop that connects to here and connects to here like this. And then just to get this a little bit further away from my clock there, I'm going to place 2 hoppers facing down right there, and I'm going to put a double chest here. Our Flint and Steel is going to end up inside of this chest to go to both sides evenly. I'm going to give myself a few blocks here to work from. I may end up being able to delete some of those. I don't recall off the top of my head right now. We're going to take the crafter, and we want to craft our Flint and Steel, and we want to put it in there. So when we face the crafter that way, it is now facing into the chest. We do need to get into this crafter flint and iron. We're going to get both of those things in there. I'm going to put some blocks right here because we're going to have to come out of this hopper here and this hopper here and read this system here. I'm going to tell you exactly what it does here in a moment. We're going to put solid blocks here, torches here, solid blocks here, and redstone dust right here. I need to be able to power this thing whenever I want to. This is what I'm going to do. It's going to be easier for me to explain to you what it's doing at the end. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to put a temporary block right here and face an observer, hopefully downward. Yeah, that observer is facing up, and I'm going to face another observer down at him. Now this thing is constantly ticking my crafter. So this crafter will be constantly trying to make stuff. Now, Flint and Steel only requires iron in one spot and flint in the other. We need to close all the other spots. We don't want them. Now, what we need to do is we need to set this system up so it's a little bit smarter than just constantly trying to craft Flint and Steel. We need it to turn off at certain times. We want it to turn off whenever this thing has enough Flint and Steel. We don't need to send any more to it. And we want it to turn off when it is out of iron or out of flint. So, and we're going to put iron on this side and flint on the other. It doesn't really matter what side you do it on. Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. Right now, this thing is actually turned off. It's not doing anything because we have redstone power going to this block. The fact that this is also trying to send power to the block means nothing. The block's already powered. That means this crafter is not currently working. It's not doing anything. That's actually good because we don't have any iron or any flint in these hoppers. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's turned it off when it's empty. That's good. We also, though, want to turn it off whenever we have enough flint in here or enough Flint and Steel in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a signal from that chest. I'm going to come out 2 blocks here, go out 2 blocks here, put a block right there, and put a block over top of this comparator. I want to read this chest, and I want redstone to come out of this, and I want it to go, actually, I want it to go right here, and I want to put a repeater right here. What this is going to do is tell it that once this chest has enough flint in it, I think it's somewhere around like 10 or 12 Flint and Steel, it's then going to have enough signal to turn this off. This thing, we've actually done all the redstone to this. It's done. Now I need to do one final thing. I'm going to take some iron and I'm going to take some flint and I'm going to preload this crafter. I'm going to put iron in one slot. I'm going to put flint in the other slot. Now it's still not crafting yet because I don't have enough supply to tell this thing to allow itself to turn on. So what'll happen is when there is at least 1 piece of iron in this hopper and at least 1 piece of flint in this hopper, both of these torches turn off. This power is not on because this thing is not full of Flint and Steel currently. and it allows this to craft. So you see it used my stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this chest with iron, and I'm going to fill this chest with flint. And now, if you can see, if you look in here, it is filling this chest with flint and steel. And that flint and steel is coming through here and evenly filling these dispensers. And eventually, and not too long, it's going to fill all those hoppers. It's going to back up in here. You're going to see this redstone signal get stronger and light up that repeater any second. There it goes. That repeater lit up because we have 9 flint and steel in here, and it turned it off. So now, even though we have iron in here and flint in here, so these torches are turned off, it's still not making flint and steel because we don't want any more. We have enough right here. We don't need to fill this chest with it. It doesn't matter. We don't need that much. As long as we have some in there to go into the dispenser, when this thing ends up losing a flint and steel, it will allow this to get refilled. Let me go. Maybe I need to take 2 out. There we go. It made a couple more and refilled the system again. And you see we have 9 again. Through my testing, if you fill an entire chest with iron and an entire chest with flint, it will empty out those chests in about 6.5 hours of using this farm if you use it on the highest speed. So keep that in mind. You do need a good supply of iron, and you do need a good supply of flint. Flint you can pretty easily get from villager trading. If you set up 15 Fletchers that have the gravel for flint trade, you can trade up to a shulker box full or a single chest full of flint in 1 round. Basically, you go and trade with all 15 of those Fletchers one time through, and you can trade and convert your gravel into flint right here. And you can automatically get gravel by a bartering farm. So you can almost farm flint in a very easy to get way. Or you can use a fortune shovel, and then every time you break a piece of gravel with that shovel, you will get a piece of flint instead of the gravel. You can go to a gravel mountain biome, you can go to the nether, you can go to the bottom of the ocean, wherever that you can find a lot of gravel, go there, and you can easily get a lot of flint to keep this thing filled up. Iron is easy, you just get an iron farm. Now the last thing we need is a pretty easy way to turn this thing on and off. Nobody wants to go all the way up there, so we're gonna do it all from right here, really easily. I'm going to start from the top. This may be harder for you. You may have to pillar up, but it's the easiest way that I can think of to do it and get it right every single time. I am going to put a block right here, and I'm going to take blocks all the way down until about like right here where I'm like even with the top of this stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to like get rid of every other block. So I'm just going to go through and knock out every other block. I am going to put a block right beside my lever that turns the Trident killer on and off. Block right here. And I'm going to put a block right here. And I'm going to just make a little redstone run over this way, like this, that goes to here. Now I can put a lever there, turn that on, and I can see how far does my redstone signal get. When you get no more redstone signal, when it's off, go ahead and throw in a repeater and run your redstone signal all the way down to about right there. I now need to get redstone signal to this. I think I'm just going to put a block right here and put the redstone dust right there. And I'm just going to put torches going all the way up. This is a torch tower. There we go. So right now, when this torch right here at the top, when that torch is off, that means the farm is on. So that means that this right here is in the on position. If I get rid of, hold on, you guys are actually going to get to see this thing kind of work here for the first time. I'm going to get rid of this lever. The farm is on. So right now, down means on for this, but down means off for that. That's a little confusing, right? I want up to be on and down to be off, right? Super easy. Just break this, throw torch in the back. Now that changed it. Now down is off and up is on. So if you want your farm to be turned on, you turn both of them up like this. The farm is on. You can see the portal's working. If I want it to be off, I throw both the levers down and the farm is off. And for the most part, our farm is done. There's a few final notes though. You're probably going to want to have a way to get up and down. At this point, you can decorate this however you want to. Make sure you do not do something like put a solid block right here because it cuts off the redstone. It's just a word of warning. Same thing for, I guess it's really just right there. But I guess the same thing for up here. You don't want to cut off that redstone, so don't do it. But otherwise, decorate this thing to make it look how you want. You are going to need to be able to get up and down. So doing something like placing some scaffolding or a ladder or something like that to get from the top to bottom can be really good. Make sure that whenever the farm is on and you're running it, make sure that you have your looting 3 sword in your hand. And if you stand right here by this glass, you will get all of the XP that comes through. Sometimes it takes it a second or two, a couple seconds to get to you, but it does all get to you. So it's all good. We can sit here and get our XP. We get about 30 levels every under 90 seconds. Less than 90 seconds, you'll go from level 0 to level 30. So that part's really good. I'm going to turn this off. And I wanted to talk to you about a couple of your options that you have. One we already showed, but if you are okay with using Impaling 5 Tridents, if you want to take a Trident and put Impaling 5 on it, let me go to the other world here and show you what that looks like. So this is the Impaling 5 version of the farm in my design world that I have. Basically, there's just not a long drop chute. You drop the piglins down a couple blocks, they land in here, and the big difference is you need to do 2 things. On the outside, I'll do it on this one because it won't break anything. All of your pistons, put a solid block on the outside of all of them. So there, and there. So you have a piston block on the outside of every piston, and then go in here with a water bucket and just click a water bucket on every piston. Important, you need to do it on every piston. If you do not, you will get uneven distribution of items. Uneven distribution of items across these bottom hoppers means that they will frequently get blocked. One will get blocked, the others will not, right? And if that happens, it starts to unevenly send all of your swords to maybe one of these 2 chests up here, or all of your ingots to one of these 2 hopper lines down here, and your system will back up, and it can break if you AFK here for anything over about 15 to 30 minutes. So if you're going to do the shorter version with the Impaling 5 Tridents, water every piston. That's number 1. Number 2, instead of putting your chest down here, you can just simply face your crafter into water like I did here. Run water across. You do need to block this water from flowing back in this way. So put a button right here at the very end. I have some ice so the items can slide across. When the gold blocks get into here, they will go up, and you'll just have to, you're going to put this little column of water wherever you want to. You see my setup here is just the column of water goes up as long as it's all flowing water. It has to be water source blocks. You cannot put water at the top and let it flow down. It won't work. Every single one of these is a water source block. That water gets to the top. It then flows over to a hopper. And then just a standard hopper system allows those drops to work their way down here and work their way into a chest. So you can keep your drops down there. You can keep your drops up here. Either way is perfectly fine. Also, on this system right here, you guys saw, just like I already built, that we kept 5 chests on each side of the rotten flesh. In this other version that I made right here, instead of keeping the rotten flesh, if you don't want it, just go directly into your trash can, just like I did here. Otherwise, you're all done. You now have yourself an incredibly fast, efficient, wasteless gold farm. These things are so fun to watch. You get all of that gold to trade with piglins for bartering, where you get all sorts of good stuff. And that's super awesome. You could do other cool things with this too. You could set up a carrot farm beside it and make this thing auto craft you golden carrots. You could auto craft your fuel down there. You could set up an iron farm here and send your iron directly into the farm, and you still have to manually put it in a flint. But I'm just saying, there's all these other cool things you can do with this farm. If you wanted to add more portals to this, that's not how I designed this farm, but those of you that want to do more portals, you can figure it out and do it yourself. It's not that hard. You just have to expand the system out. You do not want to have any more portals per Trident killer though. If you do another 2 portals, add another Trident killer, because that thing right down there, that thing is at capacity. It can't do any more. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. The material list and any other details you may need to know is in the description down below. Let me know what you like about this farm, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.